Record to the cloud. Hello, everyone, to the first ever full moon meetup at Astro College. Yay, you made it, and we're so glad that you're here, even if it's after the fact. That's okay. This is a big, full, bright Leo full moon that I'm sure none of us are going to forget. I think it's going to stand out in the year amongst full moons, what's being initiated, what's being brought to life, you know, what's being animated inside of us. So the way that I like to start, because at heart, I am also a yoga teacher, aside from an astrologer, and I think it's important to get grounded and centered and just like breathe a minute. So I like to start with a little ritual of lighting a candle and closing our eyes, or just a soft gaze, and just focusing on breath, just as a way, lighting our candle to honor this full moon. And I have my love candle because it is Leo after all, and Leo's got the big heart, finding our heart in the midst of all of the chaos. Let's see if my little candle will burn right here near the computer for us. So wherever you've been today, whatever this energy is bringing in for you, I just invite you to let all of that go. Just like water draining out of a bathtub. Let it go down, 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 and feel yourself rooted into your seat. Let the body just be heavy, embodying the energy that is all around us at all times. Inhaling through the left side of the body, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the left side of the body, exhaling through the right. And if you had your eyes closed, you can open them now. I bring the two sides, the left and the right side of the body, like yin and yang. In yoga, it's called a hatha practice, the sun and the moon, which is so appropriate for tonight as we prepare for this full moon, or tonight here in the US, and Wednesday morning in Australia, and maybe a different time wherever you are in the world. So the sun and the moon, they are standing opposite in the sky. They are oppositional. They sometimes feel, or we may feel, like we're being pulled apart. Two different poles, almost like the North Pole and the South Pole, the energy of this full moon. So if you're feeling something of that nature, you are not wrong. You lean into your gut instinct. And with this moon, it's in Leo, noticing where Leo has been coming out for you. Leo energy is big and bold and bright, prone to drama, a little bit of a clown, definitely likes the stage, likes to be seen, likes to talk. So maybe you've noticed some of that starting in the last day or so. Like, where has the drama shown up? So what I would like to do, I'm going to move the candle. It's still burning bright for us, but I would like to show you the chart. Let's see. We'll go here. No, let's go here. I've got you guys up on a full screen. I need to bring you down here. There we go. Share. Bear with me. Almost there. Okay. There's our chart of the full moon. And it doesn't matter if you know how to read this chart or not, friends, because I have so many friends that are just like, they become dyslexic. Oh, we have somebody joining us, Caroline. She'll be here in just a second. But so many friends will look at a chart and they'll say, oh my gosh, I can't see anything, even if you know the horoscope signs. Hi, Caroline. So glad you could
Hello.
join us. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're just getting started. I just pulled the chart up. But this is a picture of the sky. So if you take this picture and it's on a piece of paper and I've got a different piece of paper, but you hold it up. This is a picture of where your sky is above you. Well, this is the sky for the morning when the full moon is exact here in Cincinnati where I am. And I use Astro Gold using this software. It's bringing the full moon in at 26 degrees. And I don't have an explanation for that. I know Barbie might. She's one of our higher level teachers at Astro College. But I know that in some places it was like, what, 24 and a
24.
half?
Yeah,
Yeah.
24. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
24. I don't
Yeah.
know yeah, I don't know why it's bringing it into yours at 26, but it is. You do have
Oh,
that.
I think I
Yeah,
just saw why.
yeah, I
It's
see.
still on draconic. That's
There you
why.
go. Yeah, that's why. That makes sense.
I'm like, what is up
Yeah,
with this? Here we go.
that's
Yeah.
24.
So that's a nice little plug that I'm going to do a workshop on the draconic chart, which I find just fascinating. It switches the nodes to an Aries north node. And so it moves your placements accordingly and it changes your signs. And so I am natally a Leo, but in that chart, I'm actually a Capricorn. And so I think about that, like resetting to that place and time in my life when I've had to be a Capricorn, and I feel it. Like I really feel it. So let's see what we've got now. Well, this takes us 20, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
24 and 2405, but we can get the main energies. And so back to, regardless whether you can read this chart or not, that doesn't matter. It's just listen, you'll get there. I always like to try to bring the chart down into something simpler that everybody can understand no matter where they are in their astrology journey. So first and foremost, everyone, if you can see my little arrow here, should be able to recognize the sun and the moon, and there they are standing opposite in the sky. And then the second thing you might notice about this chart is that there is a big red triangle, and that matters. That's significant. That's called a T-square. There may be other names for that, but it's a point of tension. And this is basically where the sun and the moon have hit their knee on the coffee table of life. So there's some screaming happening. You have stumped your toe and it hurts and it's an ouch. And that ouch is happening with the planet Uranus, who is lightning fast, brings in surprises and shocks and ahas and epiphanies and things we didn't expect and changes of course. And oh my gosh, where did that come from out of the blue kind of energy? Uranus also is about freedom seeking. It's about breaking out of the box, breaking out of the mold. And so you may be with this full moon feeling, something like trapped or stuck in something. And that Uranus can just immediately like dig you out of there and say, that's it, you're out. Personal experience or a personal story. I've been working with a friend who's a hypnotist, and I had a session today and we went on a journey, and she put a new perspective to something that I have never, it never occurred to me before. And she said that there were things from that journey and she said, you won't even know it yet, Jen, but that are already healing me. That was just like a big aha. And it was so simple. It was so simple. And if you've ever done hypnotherapy, it really is, you kind of go into like not a trance, but just like a real restful state. And you just see what images and thoughts come up for you. And so, anyway, it was very enlightening. So, that was my enlightening experience that I think is symbolic of Uranus, because there are places I think I was feeling a little stuck. And I think that helped. So I feel like that's where that was coming through to me. I also look at tonight as a surprising, shocking little gift. Like, wow, this is the start of something new, you know? And it didn't even occur to me the energy of this full moon, you know, this new thing coming in, this new beginning, this new start. And I think that is another signature of this moon, that Uranus is kind of unsticking us and giving us a brand new start. So that's, I always put a positive spin on things. I think that's something that we can look forward to. So the other thing about this triangle, this red triangle that we're bumping our knee on the coffee table, you can kind of look at it like it's a bow and arrow. And so, given that we've got a couple of Sag risings here who are the archers at heart, we are drawing back our arrow to that fulcrum point down where Uranus is and shooting our arrow across the chart. And you'll see from Uranus all the way across. Look at this planet here. Well, planet, asteroid. And this asteroid's name is Juno. And we know Juno being about commitment. That we are committing to something. And that commitment is how we relieve the tension with this T square. So something new, something shocking, something we weren't expecting coming through, but willing to get a commitment maybe to a new idea, a new thought. So many people will look at Juno for their relationships with their significant other, how that shows through husband and wives, you know, how they're linked, because that is how you, you know, view commitment. And so the view of commitment here from this perspective, from this pull of the bow and arrow, is in the sign of Scorpio. So this whole sky is about fixed energy right now. We've got fixed positions, fixed opinions. We, you know, being, gosh, Leo's bossy, Aries is a know-it-all, Taurus is the rock. You can't move them. And Scorpio, oh, Scorpio is a surgeon. He's going to dig in and he's going to cut the bad away. So maybe there's something that needs dug into to have that. If you watch the YouTube weekly, the forecast, I talked about it being like an ingrown toenail. You know, it gets infected, your toe swells up, and the only way to relieve it is you got to get that infection out of there. You got to dig it out, and it hurts. But then there's the release of the pressure, you know. So being committed to doing the work with something proverbially. So you got to think about where that is in your life. Where do you need to dig out the gunk? You know, Scorpio is the swamps. Scorpio is the deep waters, but where all the garbage is, and he can get through that dross to be able to dig out what no longer serves us. Any thoughts about this so far, fellow astrologers?
It's interesting. It's all happening around that Uranus is sitting very close to Algol, and it's also aspecting a lot of stuff in my chart. So.
Oh yeah, so you got to be extra careful. So
yeah.
Algol losing our head, you got to like zip the lip.
Yeah, well, I've got the moon sitting on 25 of Taurus, so
wow,
it's getting activated. But guess what? We might have sold our house.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't know you were up for sale, but that's
well,
good.
We've had it sitting there for ages, and we had a lady turn up yesterday, and she wants to buy it. She made an offer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's your surprise.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm having a laugh.
Well, that's a success of Regulus being there helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So notice as well, aside from that triangle, and that leads into a square in the sky between all of the fixed signs. There's a big, you can see right from at the bottom, Uranus leading over to the sun, the moon, And that square is like an energy pack. So it packs a punch almost, and even with this opposition here between Uranus and Juno, I want to say the Ubers called that, it's not exactly an envelope, but I do know they call it. And that the Ubers, there's a book about different formations and the meanings of the different formations. And when we see that square like that, you know there's a lot of energy happening. You know there's a lot of chi. A person natally who would have that in their chart would be a go-getter, and they have self-motivation, like they can regenerate that energy for themselves. You know, they can just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think of a person that I know that has her own business, and she's in the holistic world. It's she has a wellness center, but her trade is really medical massage. And she is just like, I've never seen anybody with so much energy in my life. Like, I get tired watching her. Like, you do yoga. And we talk about that. Like, she'll do yoga with me, but she can't sit still for the end. Like, she can't settle herself. So imagining that feeling for all of us, like you just can't get yourself settled in some kind of ways, is even more important, that you do self-care and you find ways, you know, to find peace, to relieve anxiety, to de-stress, you know, to unplug. It's even more important. And we'll feel this for a couple of days, you know, even after the moon is exact. So it's morning here in the US when it's the full moon. So what time will that be in Australia?
Just sent you in the chat, you'll have a chart.
You sent me a
Just-
chart. We
Is
had
it
somebody
happening
new join.
In the way. Why are you getting in the way? Why are you getting in the way?
Laura. Hi, Laura. Welcome.
So sorry. Hello.
We're glad you're here. No problem. That's great.
Is it happening now? Exactly now?
No, it's not till tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
actually,
what I
early hours
was
of the morning.
wondering. What
Okay.
time in the
Thursday.
US?
Thursday the
No.
13th, is it?
Yeah, the
Early
13th,
hours?
early hours in the morning.
Mm.
You can share
Oh,
it up
okay.
on the
Yeah,
screen
so
if you
overnight.
like. Yeah.
Can you guys see this?
You'll need to. I don't. You've got to unshare what you've got and share the new one, I think, Jen.
Well, I thought I had it sharing the whole screen. No?
Yeah, but I think with Zoom you can only do one thing at a time.
Oh, okay.
So
Let's see
unshare
if
one
it'll
and then
let me.
share the next one up. Pick the next.
I might have to. Here we go. I was able to pull it out of. Almost there. And you guys will see amongst all of my pictures on here is my dog Kato. This is my little guy who just passed. He keeps me humble.
Oh,
He
I'm
was
sorry to
best.
hear that, Jen.
Yeah. Well, he's a doggy angel now. We need those.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's still laying behind me. That was his signature. As I was busy working, he would always lay behind my chair until I was
Yeah,
finished.
he's gorgeous.
So, thank you. All right, so here is the chart for Jamestown. And you see that's on the 13th, which is that? Because it's the 12th for you right now. See,
Yes,
so that'll
it's
be,
morning.
yeah. So this will be after midnight then, your full moon, which does put, okay, yeah, I see it right there at 24 degrees. Now, you'll notice the difference between the charts is because this chart that Luke sent doesn't have all of the things pulled up on it, but you can still see the T-square there. What it doesn't have is Juno, which was on the other side, and it's flipped around. So when you're not used to looking at charts, that can be a little off-putting. It's just the more that you work with them, the more you'll be able to realize they're always moving and spinning, and you've got to kind of be able to spin with it, you know.
Yeah.
So same chart. Let's go back to the one I was working from. So T-square, unpredictability, And then let's look at this side of our opposition. So next to our sun, one of the signatures is this asteroid next door, which is Ceres, which has to do with nurturing. So the sun and Ceres are conjunct, they're holding hands. The sun is asking you, how are you nurturing yourself during this time? Even though that moon is shining bright right over next to the star Regulus. You mentioned that, didn't you, Barbie? That's the
Yeah.
king star. They're
Mhm.
not exactly conjunct, but it's
No,
apropos.
and actually they're too far apart.
Do you do
Yeah, they're
a
way too
bigger
far
orb,
apart.
a
Yeah.
bigger orb
Yeah,
than
yeah,
that?
way. They only can have two.
You like two? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
really like
it
one,
depends.
but two is okay.
So I've worked with some astrologers who will go with a 10-degree conjunction, which is pretty far away.
Right, not with fixed stars. They only can be one. One is excellent. Two is okay, but that's as far as it goes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I learned something today too. Great. So back to Ceres, and you see we have a little clump here of all of the same energies. Well, we actually have two. So it's considered a stellium if there's four, but some people will say a stellium, which is just like a group. So it's like having a little tribe of the same energy together, and that's the sun and Ceres, the nurturer, and then Mercury is there. And so we may be thinking more like an Aquarius, more analytical right now. We may be nurturing like an Aquarius, outside the box, a little bit different, a little had a word like fearless and just
A little bit.
maybe doing something different like you've never done before, like hypnotherapy. That's what
Jenny, could
yeah,
I
go
say
ahead.
maybe a little bit detached from emotion,
Could be for sure
especially
enabled.
especially with
Go
that
ahead.
Uranus squaring it. It's like I'm going to create something that maybe shakes you out of your status norm and comfort zone.
Yep. And being able to analyze and look at something from many different perspectives and not just one way. So with fixed energy, it can be my way or the highway. We can get very single-minded. And with this grouping being in all fixed signs, this big square, it's all fixed energy in the sky. It's good to have something that's a little bit different. It's good to have one of them in Uranus, in my opinion. Like, we need shook up a little bit. We need to think outside the box. We need to find a different way. Maybe you need to care for yourself differently than you ever have before. Maybe this is a wake up call. I know some people that have some medical issues, and it's come through in weird ways. So at the dentist now, for instance, there's a mouthwash you can do that can tell you how much inflammation is in your body. I never knew that before. Did you guys know that?
No,
Something new at the dentist. And so that amount of inflammation can tell you about if you have periodontal disease, but then also it can lead to other things which you may need to go to a doctor for to see what's going on if you test high for this protein. So anyway, just an example of something that's like wacky way out there when I went to the dentist, like I've never heard of that before. But maybe looking at different ways that we can take care of ourselves or care for ourselves, and with Mercury there, like thinking outside of the box. So that comes with this moon, as well as this little grouping here of Pisces. So we have this little Pisces party where the North Node and Neptune are still, they're within a degree. They're holding hands there. They're saying, are you dreaming your future? Are you in an illusion or are you in a dream? And sometimes we're not sure. Sometimes it feels like both. But I think that leaning into our gut instinct um, is ultimately the great thing about that combo right now. And Saturn is pretty far away, but it's still a Pisces confab there saying, how can we see the bigger picture? How can we go opposite from all the details and all of the you know, everything doesn't have to be perfect in order to get there. You can rely on your instinct. You can wing it sometimes, just like I was talking about being Annie Oakley, you know, not having a format. You can just dream your way there.
Well,
It's okay.
I could maybe add something. If you think about
Yeah.
the full moon coming to the full, and you think of Leo being creative, right? His expression of creativity. But then if you look at the points of the moon, you know, the nodes, and you look at the north node,
Yeah.
and you got Neptune there with the north node. So then there you got that alignment that brings in, more of the flavor of the art and being intuition, expression,
Right.
deep spiritual institution, and having a, so you can kind of bring the nodes back in, that would be, even though they're not,
Absolutely.
because it is the point to the moon.
Well, and so there's a fascination, if you go all the way back to Linda Goodman and Sun Signs, between Leo and Pisces. Leo is the lion, Pisces is the fish. They live in two different worlds, but man, they like to watch each other. You know, they like to see what the other's doing. You know, Leo gets fixed to the earth, but Pisces has, you know, in its world, kind of an unlimited, you know, ability to move around. And so that's really attractive to the lion, you know, but opposite of the fish, look at what all the lion can command. You know, it's the king of the jungle. Like, oh, if I could get it together, I could be king, you know. So there's this, like, anyway, I'm waxing
Yeah.
on, but there's a little bit of a reciprocal relationship between that land lover and that fish in the sea, or fish in the
And
water.
there could be something of letting go too, some spirit, letting go of things. Think of the Neptune, the themes of the boundaries and enhancing those spiritual creativities and letting some things go.
Right. I agree with you, definitely. I think that Uranus is kind of giving us the shock factor to be able to do that and say,
So,
in some
yeah,
ways,
yeah.
like
Well, yeah.
it's
When I looked at that, when I was looking at that, the moon with Uranus and the sun, if you think of Uranus wants to be free, right, and move, but you got this, you got to take action to get there, to get it done. You're going to have to
right,
take some action. When you got a square, you got, it's telling you got to do this, right? So if you
right,
want to get that
absolutely.
freedom to move beyond the past of all this, you got to do it yourself and see clearly how you're going to do it.
Right. And do you see up at the top of the chart, the next place I'll go with that, because it's one corner, this blue triangle? This is called a minor talent triangle. But so in a reading, I wouldn't say that that's someone's minor talent. It's just, it's smaller than a trine, right? But so I know in my own chart, I have this smaller triangle here. And so you see one corner of that is this conjunction, this Neptune North Node saying, you know, dream that dream. But you've got Pluto up at the head of it saying you're going to have to dig into some ugly stuff maybe in order to transform. We've got to dig into that poison, to that infection that Scorpio was talking about. And so that's kind of a repetitive thing. I don't know where I learned this. Maybe somebody else can speak to this, that whenever you start seeing repetitiveness in a chart, hearing kind of that same storyline again and again, like 2, 3, 4 times, like you're really getting to the heart of the way this chart is humming, because you see that. So Pluto brings up ugly stuff. Pluto brings up all of our stuff we don't want to deal with, all of our skeletons in the closet. You know, mom was an alcoholic, uncle was a, you know, drug addict, grandpa was in jail, you know, all the shit that we kind of don't want to talk about, you know, that affect us in ways, you know. And so that this thing is being activated within us with this full moon, you know, that there's maybe something that needs kind of dealt with and dug through and maybe reimagined in a new way.
And it could be with your relationships. I mean,
Yes.
so if you look at this and it's releasing, letting go of some old toxic relationships.
Well, and this particular one, I don't know if the houses change. Is this one exact? That's it. This is 842. I think it's
Can I add
852
to
here.
that, Jen, and sort of say,
Yeah.
I think for every person where the full moon and is occurring, the house positions will show you the area of life, and where that Uranus is in your chart right now is going to also show you where the
Right.
and it's empty space, like you said, like it's it's like an arrow and it's pointing to the other. So anything at 23, 24 of Scorpio, Taurus, that sort of thing, where that sits in your chart is going to show you the potential need where these shocks or changes may come in. That's what I think.
Absolutely right. I mean, and that's what you got to look at. You got to look at 20, that because the moon's at 24, so you're going to look and see what's hitting at your chart at that degree. And then if you want to look, Uranus as well is in this play with the sun. So you got to look at that, and the same with is it hitting with your relationships? Is it hitting with your money?
Is it hitting with the home? Is it hitting with your health? Like you said, these are the sorts of things that pop up. One of the examples that I would say is I just had another look here, but I would look at that and be very worried for places like Santorini at the moment, because they're copping, or I don't know if you're aware, but they've had tremor, earthquake upon earthquake, because there's a lot of seismic activity happening in a place called Colombo, which is a big underwater volcano just near Santorini. And they had in the last couple of weeks something like 500 earth tremors and quakes in 10 days. And it's like there's a volcano could go off. Now that would be Pluto and that would be Uranus with that sun moon.
Absolutely.
So, and I just had a quick look now, and I've got Greek news just come up, and it says 4 hours ago, Santorini hit by strongest earthquake in unusual seismic swarm. So it's happening right now.
Somewhere in the Caribbean here just a few days ago, they had almost an 8. I want to say it was Saturday or Sunday, 8 point something on the Richter scale, like really powerful. And they were on tsunami warning. And I don't know what happened. I didn't hear anything else.
Exactly. But having a look at that sun moon, because that's obviously the pull of the tides, it's the pull, it's the pull of the energy being pulled in different directions and being triggered at a Uranus point, and that's ruling of earthquakes and sudden changes and disasters and upheaval. I'd be a little concerned for those areas of the world right now. That'd be my guess.
Cayman Islands and the Caribbean Sea were in the 7s, according to my app.
So anyway, that was just my little adding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's an important world event, but so we need that, but I also think we need to balance that with some hopefulness. And I tend to get to the esoteric side, magical life. It means something to me. Like, how do we build that? And sometimes, and I do have Neptune on my ascendant. So I get it honestly. Like, how could we dream up something different? How can we reimagine or go into, people talk about all are you in 3D or 4D? And I've got friends who claim they're in 7D. I don't know how to get there. I don't know exactly what that means, but like, how do you dream up something, a different kind of reality at times for yourself? And I say that in the context, you guys see Jupiter down here, and there are these 2 little blue lines. These are called quintiles. And so quintiles, which Barbie can probably, because that's getting into harmonics, sitting at Barbie, when you've got quintiles, it is 72 degrees. I'm not sure which one that is, but those are considered magic aspects, or magical little gateways or portals that the energies are working together, and you really can get yourself to somewhere more magical. Like, you can make an evolutionary leap when there's quintiles. The energy flows like super easy. And so having the moon and Jupiter, now it's loose, it's not a tight one, but we still have 72 it might be. I don't know. Somebody can do the math. I'm an English major. So, but I do know it's a
72 and a bit. Yeah. The
72 degree
quintiles
aspect.
are a breakdown of 5, as in quintuplets. So
Okay.
it's 5, you've got 5 72 degrees going around the chart of 360. And the 5th harmonic to me is a lot to do with creativity.
Yeah,
So,
it's creativity. And when I want, yes, it is creativity, but go ahead.
No, that was
What's
just
inspiration?
Well, I mean, it's because it's really interesting. When I ran this chart in VA, in vibrational, it came out 5, which is creativity and playful.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's so cool. Look
yes,
at that.
I was sitting over here, and because I have, I have a program, and I put it on this one as well. And when you do that, you come out and that, and you have 20 as well. And 20 is what you do it with others. 20 is when it's more goal oriented and being creative and exploring with others. So it's 5 and 20. And so
well, isn't that the perfect balance between the sun and the moon? Leo creativity and Aquarius saying, let's make it a community event. That's what we're doing tonight, by the way. We're having a creative community event.
So that was excellent that you caught that, because I didn't want to, get into the VA thing, but I ran it. And then when you said it's creative, I'm going, oh, wow, it is. It's exactly what it came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's another one of those repeating themes. We can do outside the box. We can find a different way. We can put our creative powers to work and get the gunk out and get out of our rut, right?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I was also going to say that creative energy there is, to me, also represents a lot to do with your aspirations. I love the fact that that's the moon hitting Jupiter, because that's all about expanding those aspirations. And when you've got a big T-square, that sun moon with Uranus, I'd be looking at that Jupiter position in your chart right now and look at how I can, what's the word for it? How I can grow something or put energy into something at that point and watch it develop, or maybe take a big leap forward.
Right. How can you utilize that Jupiter and put it to work for you? Because it will grow. It's like Miracle Grow. Do you have Miracle Grow there? No. So I do lots of gardening, and we have this fertilizer called Miracle Grow here. And so if you plant your flowers, if you use it, you mix it with the water, and if you pour it, like your flowers normally might be like this, they'll be like this, like big bouquets of your flowers will grow so beautifully with Miracle Grow. So it becomes
that.
Yeah. So maybe this is our Miracle Grow, helping us to grow bigger than we thought we could. And it can be both in small and big ways. Maybe you a week after the full moon, you feel a little let down, like I didn't see the big shocking thing. I didn't see this evolutionary leap. What the heck are they talking about, these poetic astrologers? It could be something very simple. What if it's in 6th house and you realized all of a sudden, I'm going to start eating differently. I was at the grocer's and I saw that they started putting together these little healthy meal packets, and I'm going to start getting those and taking those to lunch, and from doing that, all of a sudden, you're having more vegetables and your skin is glowing, and you notice you don't need as much makeup or something. And it takes you 3 months to figure that out. You made this little change and it grew into something that was much bigger. I mean, and that's a health related thing. It doesn't have to be that. It could be something else.
Well, another thing, when you look at this full moon, when you look at your phases, I don't know if you know, heard of the Jan Spiller. She's no longer with us, but she's written several books, and she does the New Moon Wishes as one of her books. And so if you go back to July 17th of 2024, when the new moon was in Leo, and you made your new moon wishes, and you went through the phases and checked in at each phase, you could also go, are you coming to your project? Is your project developed that you decided to do, or what happened? Or did you wish that if it's the body parts, your heart and your spine, you know, if you had some issues with that, or you wanted to, you know, and did you check in and get things done along the way? So that's what another angle I look at when I come to the full moon, and it's come to the end of the project of what I made my wishes on.
Yeah. Yeah. There are full moon families is what, and you just spoke to the book or one of the books. I don't know exactly the information. I would have to look up that resource, but there are full moon phases that you can follow from one full moon to the next moons, and you can see where the quarter moon was, where the full moon of that phase family, where your third quarter was, until it comes back to start again. And you can track that over a period of time and see how that came through to you. So if you do little manifesting practices, and maybe that's more of a new moon thing, where you know, are writing down a little wish list for yourself, I recommend it. You really do set something subconscious for yourself on a new moon if you will make a little a wish list. I've had a pool on mine for years, and I don't know, like an in-ground swimming pool. I don't know if I'll ever get an in-ground swimming pool, but I'm getting a heck of a lot closer to a hot tub. Let's put it that way, you know? So it's small things, but there are a lot of, you know, that's a big thing, but there are a lot of small things that I'll go back that I'd forgotten about, and I will have actually done that. You know, it might be that, you know, I want to get started in a routine like with astrology, hosting more classes. Well, here I go. You know, I fulfilled that. You know, it might be something health related, being in yoga, you know, making more time for meditation, you know, making more time. And even with my kids, I'm going to be a grandma soon. So I've got to build in time to be the best Gigi there ever was. That's my grandma name. So my daughter's due in May, and it's like,
Oh,
whoa, life is
congratulations.
getting. Thank you. I'm so excited. So she is, her significant other already, he has a little boy who's 3. And so I met him for the first time over Christmas break, and they asked me what I wanted my name to be. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for grandma yet or not. Like, I don't know. I said, what about
You
Gigi?
never
Well,
are.
he took to that like a fish to water. I mean, it was Gigi this and Gigi that and Gigi can we. We went to the aquarium, and I mean, he held my hand and led me through that whole place, and it was just like I gained another child that weekend. You know, he won my heart. He just sweetest little thing, and so I'm like, okay, so I'm Gigi. How cool is that?
That's cool.
That's awesome. Jen,
So,
can I ask a
okay.
question? Can I ask a
Yeah,
question
yeah.
just in regards to like you were talking about, Matt, like in a way you were talking about setting intention on the new moon.
Yes.
So how do you see that impacting the full moon within that one same cycle, or do you think it will carry on into other cycles? I'm just curious as to how you work with it. That's all.
So at the new moon, I will set intentions, and it's the new moon's more about planning. The full moon's more about doing. So
Yep.
we're planning during the new moon, we're planting our seeds. And literally, that's when you plant the seeds, when you want the water to be really deep in the soil. During a full moon, literally, this is what's happening. The water in the soil in the earth is being pulled up to the top of the soil. So if you have a seed that's down deep, it's not getting the water, because the moon is literally pulling the water, like this is a fact, up to the top of the soil. That's why they're planting guides. Like here in the US, we have the Farmer's Almanac. And that's what those planting guides that tell you where to plant the potatoes, when to plant the corn, when to plant the, you know, asparagus. That's based on the moon, and, you know, how much it's going to pull that water up and down in the soil. You know, that to me was just like rock my world when I was like, oh my gosh, you know, people have been planting by the moon for hundreds of years. Like, and that's, you know, the almanacs have been out for, I think here in the US, it was Benjamin Franklin was the first almanac that we had, and they knew, you know, and we have lost that. So I feel like there's so much like knowledge that, and it goes way further than that when we start talking about, you know, medieval practices and what was happening, you know, in Greek and Roman times and how astrology was used. It's, you know, root was really omens. When there would be a comet or a like an eclipse, you know, they thought that was an omen for something to come. And then there are some astrologers who still do follow that when we have, you know, some kind of thing, like there was a comet back in the spring, like that's a harbinger of something to come. So, and then it, of course, takes till you get to after the fact to figure out what was that thing that came through, you know, that when there's some big, powerful shift. So that's how they vary first. But you got to consider that all those hundreds and thousands of years ago, the sky was our TV. You know, we didn't have the technology we have today. So they were able to see and to watch, you know, each night those planets, the wanderers, you know, in the sky, as well as the stars and the moon coming up in different places and the sun coming up in different places. And so it was very noticeable. You were more focused on it when that's all that you had. You didn't have all the distractions that we have today. So any questions so far or anything else that we want to talk about signature wise with this big old full moon? And then I want to give you some of my health stuff about working.
I'm waiting for the health stuff in the mojo.
Okay, so I've done some work studying with Kira Sutherland. She's in Australia somewhere. She's a medical astrologer, and she says that when you have either natally or like this full moon and it's full of fire, that you need to work on cooling the body. You know, we are getting overheated. The full moon enough, but especially with a fire moon. So things that are cooling, like peppermint tea is cooling, green teas are cooling. Things that can reduce anxiety, which could be for any moon, or stress or exhaustion. You know, if you use lotions, like here it's wintertime, and so we always have dry skin. And so instead of using a regular lotion, though, I will use like an oil, and I'll use sesame or sunflower in the summertime, or in the wintertime, which is winter now. But if I need a cooling effect, I'll go to coconut oil. Coconut has a natural cooling property that if you use it after a shower, it will help you cool down. And that's Luke, you just hide your ears. That's a trick that you can use if you've had hot flashes before. Coconut oil, and not to ingest it, but actually to put on your skin like a lotion. So other cooling things are walnuts, seeds and nuts, avocados can be cooling, olives can be cooling. It's a time when we're going to use a lot of iron when we have a fire moon. So eating a steak is appropriate, you know, or green leafy vegetables, getting out your beetroot or your what am I trying to say? Greens, like collard greens, or the green leafy things that not everybody likes to eat. Trying to stay hydrated as much as possible, and given where it's summer for you guys in Australia, it, you know, is even more important. Things that help to increase our circulation. I want to say one thing that helps me, which is a yoga pose that can be very calming, which may seem and sound ridiculous, but I do it all the time. It's called legs up the wall. So what you do is you just lay on the floor up next to the wall, and then spin your legs so they're upright. So you're laying on the floor like if I were back here on my yoga mat, and I would put my legs up. And so what it does is it drains the fluid, and you can do this too if you ever have any swelling in your feet or your ankles. It drains the fluid out of your legs. Now you don't stay there long, like 10 minutes. If you do it a lot like I do, I can go 15 or 20, but I wouldn't recommend that for everybody. But it helps to get the fluids moving through your body. So that's one thing that can help with circulation. But the other thing that it does is it helps to calm the mind. And I've done it enough that if I have insomnia at night and I can't sleep, I will do this. And it also, and you can look up the research about this, but there's science behind it that it creates a natural melatonin in the body, and it can make you sleepy. It takes a little while. Like if I wake up at 3 a.m. and my mind is spinning, I'll do legs up the wall for 15 minutes. I'll do it in my bed. Like my husband's just gotten used to it. You know, he'll look over. I've got my feet up the headboard, you know. But having your legs up that way, and you've probably seen those remember the inversion tables from the 70s? There were like these things that people would hang from upside down and claim it's the same principle. It's the same thing, but not as hard on the body. But so it can calm you whether you're trying to get to sleep from insomnia. So it'll take me, you know, another half an hour to get to sleep anyway, once I've done that. But aside from that, if you're having just your head's about to pop off, you're having a rough day, you need to calm down, you're ready to wring somebody's neck, you can do that. And 5 minutes, it can change your mood. It's really bizarre how it can just help you settle down. So you might try that. That's a silly yoga pose, but not so silly. And so many yogis will practice that at the end of a practice to help the people who are there just to kind of settle down and to, reduce anxiety, reduce stress, just feel more calm and more at ease. So that's one thing. Let's see, what else do I have here? For Leo, aromatherapy you might try are the scents of geranium, bergamot, and patchouli. Have you heard of patchouli? It's got kind of a spicy, more masculine kind of smell, but it's kind of nice too, kind of woodsy. There was another, I thought. And then very simply in essential oils, rosemary is good for Leo time. Vetiver, which is also a masculine one. And then for gemstones, remediators are things, I want to call this things that are red, because red jasper is in there. It's kind of an orange stone. Howlite, I think that one's black and white though. I think that's the one that looks like a Dalmatian. Tiger's eye, which will have some red running through it. And then amber, we all know amber kind of looks like lava rock or something. It can be kind of clear. But those are gemstones that work real well with Leo energy.
Excellent.
Let's see, what else do I have? I can tell you. Fire, moon.
Is your candle still burning?
My candle is still burning.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're still going. So things as far as in the body that you might want to just pay attention to is obviously the heart. It is Leo.
And overheating too. I would think of overheating, and then with Leo and with the moon, the moon is the stomach, and your breast, but the stomach. So you could maybe get some hot burn.
Yeah, heartburn would definitely go in there. Indigestion, and with that, even though that's a magical aspect with Jupiter sometimes can cause us to overindulge. So taking care with that, and then going back to cooling things. Now, ginger is normally will heat you up, but if you've got indigestion, there's nothing better than ginger. I swear by it. I could do ginger like every day.
And I would say another thing, it being a full moon and it being Leo and it's the heart and the spine, that is probably at the fullest. You would want to be careful lifting things up if if you're shoveling snow, that
Yes,
kind of
and
stuff.
so Lydia
Yeah.
definitely with Luke and his back or whatever,
Yeah.
spine is
Mhm.
in there too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
making sure he doesn't overdo it, the
Yeah.
next few days or get into
No
something
lifting
he
for
shouldn't be.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's probably like
And-
talking
and-
on deaf ears, but you can try. You can try.
And this
You can
might
lead
be
a
another
horse to
time.
water.
Yeah, and this might be another time when something might spike like a fever. You could spike and get a fever as well. So like,
Yep.
everything, the crud's going where on this, the US, we got the RSV coming, around. And so fevers, anything with fevers, but a fever's good because you want to break it, right? Fever helps you break whatever.
Right.
So, but that's good.
So I wanted to.
We should end up on a good note, besides, back sprains and fevers.
Right.
End up on a good note.
So spine, back, heart, and then looking at creative expression, children. So don't
Mhm.
forget that
And
that
gambling, we
Leo.
could do some gambling.
Yep, definitely.
Watch out for those mob bosses and gambling.
Recreation and games. So fun and games goes into Leo because that's 5th house. I think that's enough to work with.
Yeah,
I think
it's funny.
we've covered quite a bit about Leo. I would just say look for what's loud and bright and shiny. Something's going to stand out to you. You'll see like, oh, okay, that was that Leo thing happening.
Yeah.
Or
I
a
think
place where
Laura's-
you
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I think Laura mentioned something about the crystal. Laura, she said something, I think she was talking about it's cloudy and white and gray. So it must have been that
The howlite, yeah.
Howlite.
It's not
Okay, yeah.
Dalmatian stone. It's more sort of cloudy, which I didn't know it was a Leo stone. So
No,
new for me.
I have to look it up now.
Well,
Looking
so
at him.
I've heard howlite in other places, but I think Kira is saying that this is a good one to work with Leo because I think it may have more cooling properties.
That's what I
when
was
you
thinking.
yeah, because I want to say howlite might have some. I keep thinking about the moon for some reason. I think I've
Yes.
seen it kind of speckled, like it's got, and you say they're solid white with gray clouds.
Mhm.
I might have
like
one
it.
real close.
It's been fantastic listening to you and the great tunes you play.
Yeah, because with all that fire, you would want some cooling, right? That would help.
Right,
Especially of them in Australia, right?
Yeah, 40 degrees, 41
they would-
degrees
yeah,
Celsius. It's
Oh.
it's a
Yeah,
hottie.
no. It's hiding from me at the minute.
Right. So anything
Mine-
that feels like
I
you
was
can
going to say
get the
my moon's
temperature
in
down.
Leo.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. You have a moon in
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this good for creative expression for me on an Uber level?
But I
I'm
suppose
wondering,
it's not energetically bothering Luke and with his back, huh?
Yeah. He has been having some pain and stuff with his
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Well,
back
maybe
and side.
energetically you can give him a massage on his back,
He would
Yeah.
love that, Barbie. What are you signing me up for?
Well, I would just ask Lydia, how's your moon doing right now? How have you been feeling? Do you feel this moon coming in?
There's a lot of chatter. I've had a lot of change in family dynamics that I've pulled the lid off, which
Okay.
has been very painful. And so my chatter is still about that and the fallout of that. So sometimes that
Right.
keeps me awake at night. And
Right.
so I like your legs in the air technique. And but also creativity, like to try and channel it into creativity, I think is a really good thing. So I've been doing my little
Right.
child zodiac cards, if you like, and I did Leo
Yeah, yeah.
the other day. Yeah.
Well,
Did you create? So did you create your own cards? Is that what you did to remember?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
On my, if you see my Instagram, I'll be putting the Leo on probably today. Leo,
Okay.
I've done Virgo, and I've done Cancer. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got 3 more to go in my little series. Yeah. So check my Instagram.
Okay, I will. I will. I look forward to it. When I was first learning astrology, I made my cards too, and I still have those, and I still refer to them sometimes as the first like verbiage that I could use to be able to describe the energies, and if you will
Oh
make
yeah.
cards for the signs and make cards for like note cards for the planets, and then for the houses, when you're trying to figure out the energies together, it's just a really nice visual to lay the 3 together. If we're looking at like here, the moon and Leo in the 6th house, and you put those together, and then you start like seeing, you see all those words together.
Yeah.
What does all that mean? And then you start building that story like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand
Barbie
how
has some
this
great
is.
flashcards, don't you, Barbie?
yeah, I
You
do.
made some great flashcards. Yeah.
Yeah, I can share them if you like. Yeah, and I have my tricks too, for sleeping too. I'm a holistic practitioner, and so I do look at things to help me. Like even when I do a night class, because I like to quiet my mind, and so I take L-theanine, about 100 milligrams before a class, and then what I do is I make sure I have enough magnesium, because that is
Mhm.
huge, you know. And so
Yeah.
magnesium, and you can take some, citrate. You can take that like with your meal, even at lunchtime, but in the evening, glycinate is more for the muscles, to relax the muscles, glycinate. And so that one I take eat more in the evening. And then I take a herbatonin melatonin. It's a herbatonin.
Oh,
Okay. It's made in the United States. It's here in the United States. And why I like it, because it's it's herbs. And so if I was to try to, let me see, it is made by, here, like, you can get it on Amazon, and I know you all you get your Amazon there, right? So
I have
don't,
I have an idea, Barbie. Why don't later, even if it's not tonight, even if it's tomorrow in the community, why don't you put some of your
yeah,
suggestions for anxiety and calming for
yeah,
the,
oh, sure, sure, because
yeah. And
that'll
then
help, especially at a full moon, so things that do, because we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up.
all right. Well, anybody else? Are we good? Do we feel when I'm doing circle, we talk about we get to a place of talking where we feel like we finished, we're complete. And so we have a talking stick, and as you pass it from person to person, and they've got that talking stick, and then they say, I am complete, and then they pass the stick forward. So are we feeling like we're complete?
Yes,
One more
complete.
thing.
Okay.
It just really quick about family and the change in dynamics. Mars is still retrograde in Cancer and
Oh,
opposite
yeah.
series. So there's that motherhood and grief, but Mars and the action in home, and so being guardian, and lots of shifts and clearing cupboards. Clearing cupboards is perfect timing.
yep.
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
think you're definitely right on about Mars and Cancer. And that was part of what came up in hypnotherapy today, was like where I came from, my roots, my connections. And so one thing that I remembered is that I share a birthday with my great grandfather, who was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian, so a Native American here in the
Wow.
U.S. And I have that heritage, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but it was like he came into that session and was I don't know, like asking me to learn more. And I thought, oh, there's
Wow.
Mars and Cancer right there saying, go into your roots. You need to go back. You need to dig into that again and find out more. I mean, it was to the point. So he
Wow.
grew tobacco because it was Kentucky.
Mhm.
So Kentucky
Kristen.
used to be a big tobacco state, and he made his own pipe tobacco, and he had a pipe, and I got a wisp of a smell, like I could
Wow.
smell his tobacco. That's how intense. Like
Wow.
I couldn't. I don't know. I don't know if that was some psychological response. I don't know if he was there. I don't know, but it was wild. It was so
Quite a
wild.
spirit guide then, Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I have to go eat dinner.
Okay. All right, ladies, are we complete? Anything else?
Complete.
Complete.
All right. Well, thank you for
Thank you.
joining me tonight
you.
and in this discussion. And please share your experiences in our community. If something happened and you're like, I got the aha, here's the Uranus, here's where it knocked me in the leg. I felt it. Tell us, because that's how we all learn to recognize the energy through other people's experiences, which is why it's important to do get-togethers and talks and meetups with fellow astrologers. So we're listening and we hear something, and then later it's like, oh, I remember. You may not even know at the time, but as you're thinking back on stuff, like you'll have heard how it came through for somebody else, and then it'll just hit you. And then when you have that personal experience with the energy, that is like the stuff. Like that's what gets us hooked. That's why we keep doing this stuff, because we can feel it. Like it's all around us, but you can't always see it, you can't always feel it, but by God, when that thing happens to you that you felt it, it was there. So thank you. I hope that this has helped you in some way. I send you many full moon blessings on this full moon's eve, and join us again next month. I'll see you there.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Bye-bye.
See you,
friends.
ladies. Enjoy your day.
Have a good night.
Night. See you.
Bye.
See you.